World War II did more than redraw borders. It shattered economies, transformed industry, and created a new global financial order. The war began while many countries still carried the scars of depression, unemployment, weak trade, and political instability. Governments directed factories, workers, transport, materials, and finance toward one goal: military victory. Car plants became tank factories, while civilian industries rapidly shifted to weapons and military supplies. Mass mobilization created millions of jobs and sharply reduced unemployment across the major Allied economies. Women entered factories, farms, transport, offices, and military support roles in unprecedented numbers. Workers moved to shipyards and industrial cities, creating boomtowns, overcrowding, and housing shortages. Rationing redirected food, fuel, clothing, and metals to the military, forcing families to consume less. Price and wage controls limited inflation, but shortages grew when official prices no longer matched demand. Governments raised taxes and sold war bonds, turning private savings into ships, weapons, and aircraft. Public spending and national debt soared, giving governments a much larger role in managing the economy. American factories worked around the clock, making the United States the industrial arsenal of the Allies. Lend-Lease sent food, fuel, vehicles, and weapons abroad, linking Allied survival to American production. Britain paid heavily for victory, selling overseas assets, borrowing deeply, and weakening the global role of sterling. The Soviet Union moved factories east, rebuilding production beyond German reach under extreme pressure. Nazi Germany relied increasingly on occupation, confiscation, and the brutal exploitation of forced labor. Japan faced severe shortages of oil, steel, shipping, and food as Allied blockades tightened around its empire. Colonies supplied troops, crops, minerals, and taxes, while local people endured scarcity and forced extraction. Food became a weapon of war, as labor shortages, requisitions, and destruction reduced harvests in many regions. Scarcity encouraged black markets, where goods sold above official prices and inequality became more visible. Families delayed buying cars and appliances, building savings that later helped drive the post-war consumer boom. Military research accelerated advances in radar, aviation, medicine, electronics, rocketry, and early computing. Victory depended on logistics, standardized production, global shipping, rail coordination, and supply management. By 1945, factories, ports, homes, farms, roads, and power systems across Europe and Asia lay in ruins. Destroyed railways and bridges blocked food, coal, medicine, and workers from reaching the cities that needed them. Millions were killed or disabled, reducing labor forces, destroying skills, and leaving families without income. Refugees crossed shattered borders, creating urgent demands for food, housing, jobs, transport, and health care. The Holocaust destroyed lives, businesses, property, professions, and entire communities through systematic persecution. Global trade collapsed as blockades, shipping losses, occupation, and currency controls replaced normal commerce. Peace brought little immediate relief, as many nations faced hunger, inflation, unemployment, and damaged infrastructure. At Bretton Woods, Allied leaders designed rules for stable currencies and international economic cooperation. The IMF and World Bank were created to support monetary stability, reconstruction, investment, and development. America's industrial strength and gold reserves made the dollar the central currency of the post-war system. The 1947 GATT agreement began reducing trade barriers and laid foundations for expanding global commerce. The Marshall Plan supplied money, fuel, food, machinery, and raw materials to help Western Europe recover. European governments coordinated trade, investment, and reconstruction, preparing the way for deeper integration. West Germany's 1948 currency reform restored incentives, revived markets, and helped production restart. In Japan, land reform, industrial restructuring, and new institutions created the base for post-war growth. The Soviet Union rebuilt through central planning, while Eastern Europe adopted tightly controlled state economies. Europe split into two systems: market-based recovery in the West and central planning in the Soviet East. The GI Bill expanded education, training, and home ownership, helping build a broad American middle class. Cheap mortgages and highways drove suburban growth and boosted demand for homes, cars, schools, and appliances. Pent-up savings, rising wages, and mass production launched a consumer boom that reshaped everyday life. The baby boom increased demand for housing, schools, food, clothing, health care, and local services. Permanent defense spending supported aerospace, electronics, research, and the growing military-industrial complex. Wartime aircraft production accelerated commercial aviation, opening routes and connecting the global economy. Radar, code breaking, and early computers moved into civilian science, communication, business, and manufacturing. Mass production of penicillin and other medical advances improved survival, public health, and worker productivity. Nuclear research offered new uses in energy and medicine, but also brought immense costs and security risks. Plastics, synthetic rubber, chemicals, and new alloys spread into transport, construction, and consumer goods. Standardization, automation, logistics, and better management raised productivity across post-war industry. Strong unions and wartime sacrifice encouraged pensions, public housing, health care, education, and welfare states. Many women lost wartime jobs, yet their experience widened expectations for employment and economic independence. Prosperity remained unequal, as discrimination restricted housing, education, credit, and skilled jobs for millions. War weakened European empires, accelerated independence, and pushed colonies to rethink trade and development. West Germany combined competition, stability, welfare protection, and reconstruction to produce rapid growth. Japan combined reform, education, industrial policy, exports, and American access to build a high-growth economy. The Soviet Union rebuilt heavy industry quickly, but defense priorities kept consumer choice and living standards limited. The war created winners and losers, but every nation faced larger states, new debts, and transformed labor markets. World War II destroyed immense wealth, yet its institutions, technologies, and economic systems shaped generations.